It is 2025, and the United States is experiencing the greatest illusion of its modern history. On one side, echoing through the corridors of Washington, are the cries to close the borders and deport them all. On the other side, we have American businesses quietly going bankrupt. Not because they lack customers, but because they cannot find a single human being to wash dishes in their kitchens, pick tomatoes in their fields, or swing a hammer on their construction sites. The math doesn't lie. Right now in the American economy, for every 100 open job positions, there are only 72 available workers to fill them. Millions of jobs are effectively orphaned. Politics tells us that immigrants are a burden on the economy. But what if I told you that this so-called burden is actually the last structural pillar keeping the American economy from collapsing? Today, we are leaving the emotional arguments, the flag waving, and the political rage at the door. Today, we are x-raying America's $7 trillion secret, the immigration economy. Welcome. To understand economics, you first have to understand biology. After World War II, America experienced a baby boom. This was the engine of economic growth. A young population means workers to produce and consumers to spend. But that party is over. Today, the average American family is producing 1.6 children, far below the 2.1 replacement rate needed to keep the population stable. America is entering a biological winter. Look at this chilling line from the Congressional Budget Office's 2024 report. By the year 2040, all population growth in the United States, I repeat, all of it, will come from immigration. We don't need a hint to see what happens next. We just need to look across the Pacific at Japan. Japan refused immigration and suffered the lost decades. An aging population, a shrinking workforce, and a deflating economy. The baby boomer generation is retiring at a rate of thousands per day. Who is going to pay for their Social Security and Medicare? The system relies on the taxes of the young to fund the old, but there aren't enough young locals left. This is exactly where immigrants enter the equation. They are America's imported vaccination against demographic bankruptcy. Let's start with the most common myth. Immigrants are coming to steal American jobs. This sentence might sound logical on a cafe table, but inside an Excel spreadsheet, this argument falls apart. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, 73% of agricultural workers in the U.S. are foreign-born. In the construction sector, that number exceeds 50% in some states. These are physically grueling jobs that the local population simply does not view as a career goal. Don't believe it? Let's go to Florida. In 2023, the governor signed SB 1718, one of the toughest laws against undocumented workers in the country. What was the result? Did Americans rush to the scaffolding to fill those vacancies? No. Construction sites went silent. Repair costs after hurricanes spiked by 30%. Farmers left millions of dollars worth of crops to rot in the fields because there was no one to pick them. The reality is this: the American workforce has become more educated, older, and focused on white-collar jobs. When you pull immigrants out of the system, there is no reserve army of American labor waiting in the wings to replace them. Those jobs either don't get done, or the cost of doing them skyrockets to levels the consumer cannot afford. Now let's talk about your wallet. Inflation. Economic theory is simple. If supply increases, price drops. If the supply of labor increases, wages should drop. Harvard professor George Borjas has argued this for years. Low-skilled immigration depresses the wages of the poorest Americans. However, other economists like Nobel laureate David Card proved the exact opposite in the famous Mariel Boatlift study. Even when 125,000 Cubans arrived in Miami overnight, wages didn't crash. Why? Because immigrants aren't just workers, they are also consumers. When they arrive, they eat, they buy clothes, they rent apartments. They increase the labor supply, yes, but they also increase the demand for goods and services. This keeps the economic engine spinning. More importantly, as FED Chair Jerome Powell has admitted, immigration has been one of the primary valves preventing hyperinflation in the U.S. recently. Because companies could fill open positions, we avoided the dreaded wage price spiral. If these workers weren't here, that $5 coffee you're drinking would likely cost $12. Immigrants are the invisible brake on inflation. But what about taxes? I can hear you asking. They are living off our tax dollars. This is the most controversial side of the coin. And to be honest, there is truth to this, but not where you think it is. Most people don't know this, but millions of undocumented immigrants file tax returns with the IRS every year using ITIN numbers. Why? Because they want to build a paper trail of good moral character for potential future citizenship. According to Social Security Administration data, these individuals contribute about $13 billion annually to the system. But because they lack legal status, they will never draw a pension or receive Medicare. Essentially, they are subsidizing American retirees. However, flip the coin, and you see the local governments. While the federal government in Washington collects the payroll taxes, a small town in Texas has to cover the costs of schooling immigrant children and emergency room visits. Macroeconomically, America wins. But on the micro level, local budgets are bleeding. The root of the political anger lies exactly in this imbalance. What happens if America seals the borders completely? Is there a solution? Yes. Robots. Saw what happened in California when the minimum wage hit $20. Chains fired humans and installed ordering kiosks and automation. The economy is ruthless. If labor gets too expensive, capital flees to technology. America is at a crossroads. It will either continue to grow with low-cost, flexible human labor, or it will shift to full automation requiring massive capital investment. But here's the catch. Automation isn't yet cheap enough or skilled enough to gently pick a tomato off a vine. Wrap this up. According to CBO projections, over the next decade, the influx of immigrants will contribute a staggering $7 trillion to the U.S. GDP. The net contribution to government revenues will be $1 trillion. Economics is not a moral judge. It doesn't care about good or bad. Economics is just a cold calculator. And right now, that calculator is telling America one thing. If you want to grow, you either need more babies or you need more immigrants. If you have neither, contraction and impoverishment are a mathematical certainty. The question is, will America listen to its cultural thoughts, or will it listen to its wallet? What do you think? Would you accept more immigration if it meant lower inflation? Let's argue in the comments below. Thanks for watching.